You probably think the brightest, freshest new comedy of the season will be on ABC. CBS? The brightest, freshest new comedy of the season is called Cheers, and it's coming to NBC. That's right, NBC. That's right.
Thursday on Cheers.
I don't want to go out with you.
Has Sam finally met his match?
So he blew and he's not a god.
He was to me.
And on Night Court, when justice goes blind, will the courtroom go crazy?
The house of Gaga it is.
Then on Hill Street, a fatal shooting may entrap Hill and Rinko.
Your whole career's got hang by a thread.
Thursday.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Sitcom, all ye faithful, a Christmas podcast special where I discuss 25 Christmas sitcom episodes. Please come and listen every day until Christmas. I'm sure we'll feature Fonzie, the Bradys, and Steve Urkel, Dunder Mifflin, Mayberry, and definitely Alf. We'll definitely talk about Alf. Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome back to Sitcom, all ye faithful, where today we're talking about Season 6, Episode 12 of the mighty Cheers. The episode, Christmas Cheers, that originally aired December 17th, 1987. Now, tonight's episode is a little different than what I had anticipated it to be. I asked my friend and co-host of the Fine Movies, Fine Spirits podcast, Christopher Morris, to join me this evening. And then at the very last second, I whipped the rug out from under him and said, no podcast for you. Because my dog, she hasn't been feeling good the last couple of days. Last night, perfect. Tonight, just having this, she does this thing which is licking the air, licking the rug, licking everything, crying like something's bothering her with her stomach. And you know what calms her down? A goddamn car ride. So I put the little bugger in the car, took a little drive to Salem, New Hampshire. I took my recorder with me. I said, you know what? She's going to chill. I'm going to record in the car. And then I just said, you know what? It's still early. I don't have to do that now. But because of the timing, and she's doing fine now. She is right now snoozing on the couch, and just my fingers, my toes, everything, every appendage is crossed that she remains just chilled and relaxed for the rest of the evening and has a good night. and to all a good night, right? But because of the messy situation with the old puppy, we weren't able to connect. I was not able to do my usual recording Zoom with dear old Chris. But I, right away at the beginning of this episode, I targeted him. I don't know if he knows this. I targeted him for Cheers. I was like, if I'm going to watch an episode and have some co-hosts on, and I am, Chris has got to do Cheers. And I don't know why, but for some reason, the finale of Cheers or the Cheers reunion reminds me of being at his house. Not the house you grew up in, but when you guys moved. I'm talking to him now. At that house, I feel like we were all watching it in the basement, or it was something. Maybe when they all came to Boston for the reunion, we watched that on TV. I don't know, but for some reason, Cheers reminds me of you guys, and also just reminds me of being a kid and Thursday nights. And before I even get into it, the reason I'm talking to Chris is because I said, hey, buddy, even though we can't do this recording tonight, can you possibly send me your thoughts in audio form? And he did. And I thought before I get any further, why don't we listen to the fantastic Christopher Morris, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, Michael. Chris, checking in. Your podcast co-host on another podcast that you may have heard of. So when I heard you were doing this podcast for 25 days, I thought it was a great idea. 25 Christmas episodes of sitcoms. Thought, that sounds nice. And I went to think of what you would have on it, and I couldn't come up with one besides maybe Seinfeld Festivus. So I did a deep dive and saw a Cheers Christmas episode, and I couldn't believe I didn't remember one of my favorite all-time shows, Christmas episode. So I watched it, and it took me back. It really, I'm sure it was a favorite of yours. It was a favorite of me and my family. They basically became Thursday night, ritual to watch Cheers. And it was, as usual, fantastic. So, watch the episode. The episode was called Christmas Cheers. And, like I said, fantastic. It was just a great Cheers episode. It seems like it was in its prime. Everything great about it. This episode had it. The great cold open, which, they were watching It's a Wonderful Life and calling it sappy, and then ended up getting choked up. And one of the best things about Cheers was the cold open and then the great theme song, which was another real hallmarks of Cheers. It was great stuff. Then it was just, great writing. All the characters you had their great stuff. And Sam, one of the great all-time sitcom characters. So, and you had the best version of Frasier, where he was, cynical, negative Frasier for most of the episode. But so you'll go over the episode, but the ending was great. Got you in the Christmas spirit. They all end up singing and watching It's a Wonderful Life again at the end. Can't have a better Christmas episode than that, so I think I might watch it again right after. And as Woody says at the end of it, maybe someone else might have said it, I'm not sure, but God bless us, everyone. Good luck. Enjoy.
Thank you again, Christopher, for sending in your audio. And I hope we can connect for another episode before this year's festivities are done. He said something about like how every character kind of had their moment or did some great stuff. And I actually thought that. I was like, it feels like every character had some sort of highlight. So much so that I wrote things down. Norm got his little highlight as a department store Santa. Woody was not going home, and he was the king of the flakes in a school play where later on in the episode there was a write-up, and it was a school newspaper, and he was so proud of it. But he was not going home, and he was trying to be, really cool about the fact that he doesn't need to go home anymore. He's a big city boy now with obligations in the city. Cliff, he was part of a postal worker food drive, and the winner gets a trip to Disney World in Orlando. So he was really banking on winning that. We got Frasier. Chris mentioned how Frasier just kind of was his negative, pessimistic self. I had, he really wasn't in the Christmas spirit until something magical happened. All of a sudden he was. Sam had to deal with the fact that he did not get Rebecca a gift, and that led to some classic Sam Malone moments. Rebecca was making everyone work on Christmas Eve, but she also got them gifts and had something planned for them, which also led to some great Sam moments. And Carla, her big thing was she just wanted to get home to Eddie, but at the same time, when she found out it was time and a half, she didn't really want to leave her family that quickly. So the episode takes place, it starts with the beginning of the episode, takes place a few days, it must be a few days before Christmas, because they're hanging out and they're watching It's a Wonderful Life is on. Chris mentioned that. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there right now. Guys, if you have not subscribed to Fine Movies, Fine Spirits, I implore you to do so now. I ask you, I plead, I beg for you to do so. Hold on. Okay, pretend I'm on my knees. I'm begging you. Okay, let me get back up. Okay, that was magical. Fine Movies, Fine Spirits is a podcast I do with Chris and we do with our other friend Dave. Both of these guys I've known for over 40 years. And it started off as something else. It started off as specifically an It's a Wonderful Life podcast. And that ties into this episode, so bear with me. We did a 5-part series on It's a Wonderful Life, and we're going to be coming back. Then it turned into just a general love of movie podcast where we kind of walk you through every movie that we talk about and just kind of banter and make fun of each other. It's fun. And we will be coming back for another episode of we called it Pottersville. So that will be returning before Christmas. But anyway, back to It's a Wonderful Life. They're watching it at the bar, and they're like, oh, they don't really care. Like they're like, oh, this is so sappy. This is so stupid. What? Oh God, this is the sappiest part. And they watch like the end, and then of course they start crying because it's so good. They're like, oh my goodness, this is this is the worst part. So bad. Oh, it's so great. Like they loved it. That's when Cliff shows up with his box to feed the needy, but he doesn't really care about the needy. He cares about winning a trip, and spending time in Disney World, which is funny because John Ratzenberger is like the king of Pixar voices. As far as I think he's been in every single Pixar movie. Frasier, of course, we see he's immediately cynical. He's just like, oh, that's where the spirit of Christmas is, in Orlando. Then we got Rebecca coming back. Now, I'm gonna go on a quick tangent here. Cheers to me was one of these shows that it was like I remember always enjoying it, and I feel like it became a better show. And I hate to say it because Coach was the best, and Diane was Diane. There was great chemistry there, but I mean, I don't know if I should say it became a better show, but like the fact that they knocked it out of the park twice, not recasting, but having to fill the spots of Diane with a whole new character, and with Coach with a whole new character, and both of them were home runs. Just says a lot. Like this show's casting, I mean, rivals, I would say, any show. I mean, ever. I mean, then they bring in Frasier, then they bring in Lilith. I mean, it is tremendous how the casting of the show Like whoever was the casting director, I feel like should have won some sort of award. And Cheers is the quintessential end music sadness episode that just, I mean, the actual music that I'm playing in the background here, it's just like a sad, melancholy version of the theme song. And I'm like, oh no, I got to go to bed. It's the end of the night, time for bed. And it's that end of the episode music that just gets me every time. So Rebecca comes back from a Christmas party. She was at the corporate Christmas party. Because you forget that I forget the details because it's been a long time, but Cheers was purchased and Rebecca runs it, but Sam manages it. I don't know exactly. Is Sam just a employee now? I don't quite remember the details. But she comes back from the corporate Christmas party, and she's like, she didn't enjoy it as much as she thought she would. She didn't get to kiss up to the big wigs, I think Sam was saying. Again, I watched this twice. You think I'd remember, but it was this morning. It's been a long day. And she's like, no, but I did make a new schedule for next week. And everyone's upset because they're like, whoa, Christmas Eve? You have to work? He goes, yes, but I'll work too. It'll be time and a half. And he's like, no. We can't do that. She's like, why? Just because you probably want to go, date some floozy or something. He's like, Carla doesn't want to do that. She's like, time and a half? Yeah, I'll do it. I don't need to see my family all that much. And even Woody was like, I'm staying home. That's when he says, I'm going to be in a play. I'm going to be the king of the flakes. And I forget, someone said, did someone make a comment about his casting? I forget, but he just said the king of flakes. I think maybe just Norm just lifted his head. And then my notes might be all over the place, but we get a scene with the mistletoe where Sam hangs up mistletoe and Rebecca's like, I hope you're not expecting to kiss me for that. He's like, after what you did with the schedule, he's like, yeah, I guess so. I'll give it a try. And he tries to kiss her. Okay, he's the bimbo or the himbo of the show. Like he's basically just trying to nail anybody, but he still always wanted Diane. Now he always wants Rebecca. Something about Ted Danson. He's so damn good in everything. I say I didn't watch his CSI, but he's so great playing a version of himself on Curb. He was great on The Good Place. And I'll say it right now. You don't watch Mr. Mayor on NBC, fine, but he's great on that because Ted Danson is great. And there's this whole thing that happens. First of all, but at one point this guy comes in and he delivers a Santa suit to Norm. He's like, this must be another Peterson. He's like, no, there isn't. It's you. We find out that Norm is a department store Santa. He didn't want anyone to know about that. But he's that's what he's doing to make a little extra money. So Woody calls his mom to tell her the good news about the review, and he immediately starts crying and saying how he misses her. Then we cut back, and later he's still on the phone, and we find out it's about 10:30, and they want to leave. There's this guy there, like, we can't leave until the last customer leaves, which, is that a thing? I thought last call, get out, but I guess maybe 10:30 is still too early, so they could have left if they wanted to, if no one was there. But they're not going anywhere. So at this point, they're like, let's do our presents while we're waiting. And let's exchange our presents while we're waiting, at least, and then he can leave, and then we can close up and go home. They're like, oh, great. Woody hangs up the phone once he hears presents, and he starts, talking about how he got these presents, and he got something for Miss Howe. And I remember, like, Woody is so polite that he calls, he didn't call Carla, whatever, was she Lebec at this point? I forget. But he always called Rebecca Miss Howe. I always found that something of note. He got her a gift, and Sam's like, what are you talking about? And Carla's like, didn't you, you didn't get her a gift? She's like, no. He goes, I did. It's called kissing up. That's what I did. And he's like, oh crap. I better, he's like, but if I get her a gift, she's just going to think I want to bang. He didn't say bang her, but he said like, oh no, he said this is what Carla said. Oh, you didn't get her gift, but everyone else did. The distributor, the beer guy, the food guy, all these people got her gifts. Yeah, but they just want to get her in the sack. And then he's like, wait a second. So he runs out to try to get a gift. At this point, Collar goes over to the old guy and says, time to go, buddy. Last call. He's like, but I'm expecting friends. She's like, sure you are. And then, boom, the door opens and all these people come in with gifts. And Collar realizes, oh, my God, I'm not going home anytime soon. So we come back and now we see later on in the episode, I don't know if it went to commercial or what, I forget, but it comes back and now we see Frasier and Lilith come in with gifts. And I'm realizing this is like 10:45, 11 o'clock at night. And like when you think about the logical part of the show, you're like, they're really like, this isn't the middle of the day. This is where they go. This is what they do constantly, going to this bar. Is that the best thought? But that's where all their friends are. That's where, everybody knows their name. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I went there and I did it. So she has gifts for people and Frasier's just like, oh, he still doesn't care. He's like, all these gifts, who gives a crap? Cliff comes in and he is upset because he lost by one can. He couldn't believe it. And Woody's like, oh, that reminds me, here are two. Oh, and Carla says, isn't the most important thing that you're feeding the needy, the people that need to be fed? He's like, yeah, I guess you're right. And then Woody comes in, oh, that reminds me, Mr. Clavin, here's some cans. I forgot to put them in. Here's some cans for your can drive. He's like, Woody, were these here by 4 o'clock today? He's like, yeah, I just forgot to put them in the box. Oh my God. He goes, I won. He's like, Disney, here I come. And he runs out with the cans. Again, this is like the middle of the night. He runs out with the cans expecting that he's going to win now. But how can he prove that the cans were there? And again, even if they weren't there, what would stop him from lying in the first place? But it shows that he's an honorable man. He needs to make sure that that these legitimately helped him win. So we actually don't see Cliff again for the rest of the episode. That doesn't mean his story's done, but we don't see him for the rest of the episode. So then we see Sam outside very rarely. I was trying to think about, for a show, is there a show that like 90% of all the episodes took place in this one stage? Like, you could say, oh, this episode, you watch like Community. Oh, so much of it takes place in the school. Yeah, but there's different rooms in the school. Where Cheers, for the most part, sometimes you go in the back room, sometimes you go into Rebecca's office or Sam's office at the time. Sometimes you go upstairs to Melville's. But at the same time, most of it, and sometimes you go other places, you do. But I feel like most of it, I wish I could, I should do a Cheers watch, and not to do a podcast, that'd be crazy. But just to time with the stopwatch, how many times in an episode they're in the bar, the main bar, and then do that through every episode to get a percentage of how much time is in the bar. It would be an immense waste of time, but would make for an interesting blog post, I suppose, for the nerds out there, the statistic nerds. So anyway, we're outside the bar, as I was saying, and Sam is just trying to find a last-minute shopping. He's walking around this little downtown area in Boston. It's snowing. All these shops are closed. He even asked this couple, is there anything open? They just shake their heads because they're extras and they're not getting paid to talk. And he just sits down on his luck. And then wouldn't you know, but a beautiful young woman shows up and she's like, are you okay? Now, again, this is 1987 in Boston. I don't know. I've walked around Boston in the 2000s, in the 2010s, and in the 2000, well, maybe not the 2020s. It's been a while since I've been in Boston. But I've been in, I've worked in Boston for many years and been there during the day and at night. I'd be afraid to, if someone was sitting down, especially if they're all alone at night, I'd be afraid to go up and say, are you okay? Again, maybe that says more about me But this woman goes up and is like, "Do you need help? Are you okay?" And he says, "Oh, I'm just trying to get my boss a gift." And he looks up and he sees this beautiful woman. He's like, "Oh, are you an angel?" No, he goes, "Do you have wings?" She goes, "I do." He's like, "What?" She pulls back her lapel and says, "I'm a stewardess." And he's like, he's like, "I'm trying to get my boss a gift." "Oh, is she a woman?" He's like, "Yeah, some would say," or like, I guess technically. He made like a little comment. And then she's saying, "Well, maybe I can help you with this. I have earmuffs. Oh, that would be nice. Or would you like, I have lingerie. I have a baby doll. I have these stockings. I have this." And Sam's like, "Thank you." He looks up to like the heavens and pray and, thanks the Christmas angel. I don't know what he thanks. But just out of nowhere, this woman shows up and is there to help Sam on Christmas. But also she wanted to, give her some, I guess she wanted to give him some sexy gifts, or maybe she was coming on to him. But I think later we're going to find out she is a little ditzy. So we're back in the bar, and Norm and all his Santa friends show up. First, Norm shows up and he's like, "Oh, I'm so glad the shopping season's over. This is all done." He goes, "All the yelling and crying and complaining. Okay, maybe I'm not the best Santa." So he's basically saying he was doing all that. Then all these Santas pour in, and they're all sitting at a table. Sam and the stewardess come back. She's like, "Oh no, what if a child comes in?" He's like, "It's 11:30 p.m. on a Christmas Eve. I don't think any kids are going to come in." And she's like, "Oh, good. That'd be a tough way for them to know, like to find out. Why would a kid show up?" So then Rebecca says, "Oh, I wanted to give you all your Christmas presents." And it was funny because they're like, she goes, "You didn't have to get me presents." "Oh, but we did." And she's, yay. She jumps up and down. She's all excited because Rebecca loves being loved by them. She gets them all this stuff with the corporate logo on it, a mug and 2 nightshirts. I'm like, "Oh, great." And then Sam's like, "Here you go." He thinks he's giving her earmuffs from the stewardess, and they're diamond earrings. And he runs over, and she's like, "What the hell, the diamond earrings?" She goes, "Oh, those were from my mother." He goes, "They're $500." He goes, "How much were they?" $500. He's like, "Ooh." He runs back to Rebecca, and she's like, "I can't accept these." He's like, "Really? You're giving them back?" She's like, "That's just, I don't think it would be right." He goes, "Well, that's too bad because I really, really wish you could have them." But he's eager for her to give them back. And she's like, "Okay." Sam's like, "Wait, what?" And she says, "Why don't you come over to my house tonight for a late night supper?" He says, "Okay." And then he runs back to the stewardess. He's like, "Gosh darn it. My boss is making me work late." Because now he thinks I'm going to spend the night with Rebecca. She's thanking me. She's like, "I can wear my earrings." She's thanking me, wink, wink, for my earrings. So he's going to turn his back on the stewardess. And she's like, "No lingerie fashion show?" He's like, "No, I guess not. Let me write you a check. She better be worth it." He's saying about Rebecca. So then we jump over to the Santas and Norm, and they're all pickled. They're ready to go. They're getting they're about to leave, and Frasier makes a comment about, "Oh, there's the Christmas spirit, all in the 80s, all getting their designated driver so they could get home." And then this other guy on the other side of the bar gets up. He's dressed up as Santa too. And he's like, he goes, "I got to go, guys. I have a big night ahead of me." And he looks like Santa, like he has a real white beard and real white hair. His costume's a little nicer. And he leaves, he cuts through them, and all the Santas like, "I don't know that guy. Did he work with us? I don't recognize him." And Norm says, "You don't think?" And then he's like, "Do you hear those sleigh bells?" Now, I watched the show twice. I didn't hear the sleigh bells. Did they forget to put them in the episode? Was the Netflix, the Hulu version not have the right sound? It was interesting to me because I was like, I don't hear the sleigh bells. But Frasier is like, "What? You don't think?" And for a moment, at that moment, the joy of Christmas washes over Frasier. And then the Santa comes back and he's like, oh my God, I almost left my keys here. My wife would kill me. And listen, guys, I left the lights on in my car. That's what he says. And I need a jump. Can one of you guys give me a jump? And they realize it's just a guy. And Frasier was like, oh, he goes, but that's amazing. And Lilith's like, what? That he's just a normal guy? He goes, no, it's amazing because just for a moment, I realized I was a kid again, and I enjoyed Christmas for the first time since I was born. And he's all excited. He jumps on the piano and starts singing Christmas songs. Like the Christmas spirit is very in him, and they're all happy. And then Sam is talking to Carla. She's like, "You got him the earrings?" He goes, "Yeah, but it was worth it because she's having me over for supper tonight." And Carla goes, "Yeah, you and me and just about everyone else in this bar." He says, "What?" She goes, "Wait, you thought you were the only one? Oh, working late. Everything was worth it just for that for Carla. That made everything worth it for Carla." And then she loves that. And they're like, "Hey, it's the end of It's a Wonderful Life. It's our favorite moment. It's the big ending." So they go over to see the teacher says when a bell rings, Angel gets his wings. And then in a classic moment, it cuts away to the news where it says that a man is on the runway at the Boston airport. They didn't say Logan Airport because if you're outside of Boston, it wouldn't make a difference to you. They said a man is on the runway throwing what appears to be cans of Chinese food at a plane bound for Orlando. So it seems like the winner of the contest was actually leaving that night to Orlando, and Cliff ran to the airport with the cans to prove that he won. And I was laughing my ass off at that moment. Just the thought of Cliff, and Norm's like, "Oh, Cliff, old buddy." And then they watch the end of the episode, and then as Chris said earlier, that we get the Woody voiceover where he says, "God bless us, everyone." Just a friggin' great episode. I texted Chris earlier. I said that episode was tremendous, and another thing I said to him, and it's Cheers is like a warm blanket. Like it fits over you, and it's so comforting, and it's nostalgic, but it's not like ageless. Like it's still pretty timeless. There's certain things that may seem very 80s, but it's still pretty timeless with the humor, with the characters, with the setting, just everything about it. So good, so good. I'm so happy I watched it. I wished I was able to talk to you in person, Chris. But thank you so much for sending your audio our way. And again, our show, Find Movies, Find Spirits. You can find it at fans.experts.com. You can follow us on Twitter at @fine_movies. For me, you know where I am. I'm on Twitter and on Instagram at Geek Mentality. The website is fans.experts.com. The Facebook page is fans.experts, and that's it. This might have been, I don't know if I'm just lucky, but this is one of my favorite episodes watching so far this year, and I can't wait. I can't wait to do the episode that I already have planned for tomorrow, because I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, I don't want to give anything away. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. You know what? I will say one thing. It brought on one of the single most, one moment I remember my entire family laughing the most we've ever laughed. So that's all I'm going to say. But until then, my friends, thanks again for listening. Thanks for subscribing. And thank God my dog seems to be doing great. She's sleeping. I'm excited. And guess what? Here is my theme song. This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe, 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode. Fans Not Experts.